Olivia and welcome back to Live in Literature. Thank you so much for all the love and support I received on my last two videos this week. I don't know what happened with my editing this week, but somehow I accidentally split my video into two. I hope you enjoy both parts, part 1 and 2 of ranking books worst to best Sarah J Maas edition. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out on my channel and I hope that you enjoy it. I have been so enjoying Maas month this far and it has been so amazing. I am going to do another Maas video today for you and it is called
Most Tragic Moments in Sarah J Maas History.
I said, I want to make history. And that's what this is.
And so if you have not read Sarah J Maas, this is probably not going to be a video for you. This video will contain
countless spoilers. Numerous spoilers. This
is not a video you want to watch if you have not read any of her books. I will be spoiling many humongo things that are very crucial and essential to the books. So if you have not read the books and you want to, do not watch this video. But if you haven't and you're not interested in reading them, or if you have read them and you just want to know what I think are the most tragic things that have occurred in SJM history, then please keep watching. But I think that this video needs a little bit of a makeover. I don't know what you guys think, but like, this just feels a little bit too happy.
Cue the sad music and transition.
Now that we set the tone for this video, welcome to Distressed Olivia. This is, I thought would be appropriate for the subjects we're going to be talking about today. And so I thought I would get dressed in my mourning, my dress of mourning, and the appropriate behaviors responded to this sort of thing that we're going to be discussing today. We're not going to go in any particular order. We're just going to be talking about the most tragic events that occurred in Sarah J Maas history and just discussing them. The first we're going to discuss, and the one that really just like takes the cake for me, it really just, so tragic. It's when Rowan gets shot in the 4th book.
You're really choked up about this, aren't you?
Rowan getting shot in the 4th book and Aelin freaking out and being like, Rowan! And we all thought that Rowan was gonna freaking die. Oh.
We're gonna die! We're gonna die!
One of the most tragic moments, but really what makes it the most tragic is not even the fact that he got shot, because
as you know, Rowan Whitethorn is my husband and I will mourn him to the day I die.
Oh, she's sweet but a psycho.
But it's because of Aelin's reaction to Rowan getting shot. Aelin reacts in the most drastic way possible. She retaliates and attacks this witch. Not only that, but the way that she screams his name. She screams his name like she would for her mate, and Rowan is her mate, and at this point, like we've discussed before, she hasn't admitted that he's her mate, and it's like a whole thing, and we're just like, Rowan, like she didn't get to tell him. She was thinking the whole time, but like, I didn't get to
tell him that I loved him before he died, and you think he's gonna die. And then he doesn't, obviously, thank goodness. But they really gave us a scare in that 4th book, Queen of Shadows.
Stop! I could have dropped my croissant!
The second one that I'm going to talk about, and one of the most
Utterly devastating moments in literature history.
Okay.
is the death of Danica in Crescent City, House of Blood and Earth by Sarah J Maas. The death of Danica is
Utterly
unacceptable. Ruined me. For months it ruined me. For months I mourned Danica.
It has to be a joke. I do not believe this is happening. Literally, I'm gonna die. I need an ambulance. I can't believe.
But we grow to love Danica, and when she's taken from us, it's so tragic.
utterly unacceptable. I literally cannot believe she did that to me. I can't. I'm sorry. I literally can't. It is utterly unacceptable to me that she killed Danica. And Danica was my favorite one.
And she literally was only a character introduced in the first 50 pages of the book.
I don't make the rules.
Speaking of Crescent City, we're just gonna hit all of the Crescent City moments, 3 and 4 right now, because they are so tragic. For me, one of the most tragic moments is when Hunt Alethar is sitting in jail and Sandriel decides to show him all of the photos on his phone of Bryce and him and their relationship.
And then over the course of this entire book, like, she's like been hiding, like she's been like suppressing all of these like feelings of like actually feeling like happy and good. And as the book progresses, she's becoming more alive and coming out of her grief, mourning over Danica. And it's so tragic because he threw it all away. He threw it all away.
He tried to stop them, but he couldn't, and then he ends up in prison, and then he has to watch these memories, and it's so painful because he can see what he gave up. And that's the saddest part, is he sees what he gave up. And he gave up Bryce. Just realizes like what he's done. And he realizes he's like, I screwed up. I messed up. And you just feel so bad for Hunt because like he built a relationship with Bryce and he threw it all away. For what? For nothing. And it broke my heart. Absolutely broke my heart. Next Crescent City moment that I need to talk about. This one is kind of this is a tragic, but also kind of like happy tragic. This is a moment that I would like just started sobbing in the book. Like I was literally sobbing. Sobbing, because it was so like, So for those of you who haven't read Crescent City, you're not going to really understand this, but I'll explain as best as I can.
And so Bryce is there, everything's gone to crap, and she needs someone to make the drop with her, but no one's there. Like Hunt is basically dead. Like Hunt is literally like basically dead, and it's upsetting. And Bryce goes to the center of town, and she puts her hand on the panel, and there's these panels, but I'm not gonna explain the panels. There's like panels in the city where you can communicate to people, whatever, it doesn't matter. She puts her hand on the panels, and no one will respond. She's calling her, she's like, please, I need someone to make the drop with me, please, please, please. And
no, out of nowhere, we just hear Danica saying, light it up. And that's like the phrase of Crescent City is light it up. And you just keep hearing Bryce being like, Danica? And she's like,
light it up, Bryce. And they're like, light it up, Danica, light it up.
And they're screaming, light it up. And she makes the drop by herself, like without having anyone to pull her back up. Like no one there to be her partner except for Danica, who even after all this time, even after being dead, never forgot her best friend and the sacrifices that she made.
You're a true friend.
And that's the part that like gets me. Like I started like literally like full on hysterical sobbing.
But she's like, light it up, Danica, light it up.
It was a moment for the ages, and it's one of the most like heartbreaking, like tragic, but like happy moments of the entire book. Okay, we're gonna switch over to a little bit of the ACOTAR series now and just switch over to some of the most
Tragic moments. And there are some tragic moments.
The first one being, I have to talk about it. I'm sorry guys, for those of you who have read A Court of Mist and Fury, it is one of the most pivotal moments in the entire book. I'll set the scene for you. Feyre is fighting, like practice fighting with Cassian, and she's like punching these pads that he's holding, and she's just like fighting with him. And she starts to think about her time under the mountain, and she's trying to talk about her feelings of her time under the mountain, like a little bit like out loud. And at one point she makes the last punch and she connects. She realizes that she's burned through the pads that Cassian is holding. And she's just like, at this point she's literally sobbing. And Cassian's like, I'm all right. Like you can take the next hit. Like you can take it. Like take it against my palms. Like such a sweet friend. We'll talk about Cassian later. But then Feyre finally admits, she says, it should have been me.
And that was the most tragic line in all of ACOTAR history.
It should have been me. Because if you haven't read ACOTAR, you have to know the context really fast.
Feyre had to kill 2 people under the mountain when she was trapped there by Amaranth. And she basically said out loud in this moment of like, she's in such a deep-seated depression after like what she did, and she hates herself for it. But it was the only way to free everybody to like get out, and so she had to kill these 2 people, and it was so sad. And she said that if there had been one, like if Tamlin hadn't been under that third, like there was supposed to be 3 people that she was supposed to kill. If there hadn't been Tamlin underneath one of those, she would have turned that knife in on herself and killed herself after that moment. She was ready to die after that moment.
And so when she says the line, it should have been me, it broke my heart.
Breaking my heart.
Broke my heart because she admits that like she didn't want to be alive after that moment. She didn't want to exist anymore because of what she had done. She did this to save people. She did it for a reason. But like at what cost? At the cost of her soul, at the cost of her spirit, at the cost of her guilt. For me, that is just one of the most tragic things ever. Like the most tragic. So tragic. Another very tragic but also deeply romantic moments of the ACOTAR series. This is in Wings and Ruin, the 3rd book. It's at the very end with the battle, and Cassian and Nesta is Feyre's sister. Cassian is Rhysand's best friend. Okay, continuing. Cassian and Nesta are fighting Hybern the King, and Hybern destroys Cassian's body, spirit, his wings, completely and utterly destroys him. He's laying on the ground, literally dying, and Nesta is trying to defend him as best as she can. And she's like trying to hold him. She's like, get up, please. Like, get up, get up, get up. And at this point, I'm like literally sobbing. Like when I'm reading this book, like, I'm literally in tears. Because it's so sad. Like she's just trying to get up. She's like, please, you're too heavy. Like, get up. And Cassian's like begging her to run. And then finally, like he says in the most romantic line is,
I have no regrets in my life but this, that we did not have time, Nesta. That I did not have time with you. I'm in love, and I don't care who knows it.
and then he goes on to say that like, I'll find you in the next life and we will have that time together. And it's so tragic. So tragic because Cassian knows like this is the end for them. And then just the cherry on top in one of the most romantically tragic moments, instead of leaving, Nesta climbs on top of him as he's laying there on the ground and shields him with her body. And she's saying like, we'll go together. Like we'll just go together into that afterlife.
And my gosh.
If it isn't the most tragic and romantic thing I've ever heard.
But thankfully they both don't die. Oh my gosh, thank goodness they both don't die. They almost did. Whew, but they don't. But honestly though, like, they had me for a second.
And then to continue on with the Court of Wings and Ruin, we might as well just talk about the most heartbreaking and also heart attack giving moment in ACOTAR history.
It's at the very end of a Court of Wings and Ruin. And their favorite is trying to fix the cauldron because if the cauldron doesn't get fixed, then the whole world is gonna like explode, whatever. Everyone will die. It's a whole thing. Okay, great.
So she's trying to fix the cauldron. And Rhys comes over to her and she's like, I don't have enough power. And he's like, take mine. And so he's like kneeling with her as they're like kneeling, holding hands, and she's like trying to fix the cauldron. And then Rhys dies. Oh, he freaking dead. Like literally, like, oh my gosh, she's freaking dead. Like,
We're dead! We'll survive, but we're dead!
like literally like died. And I was just like,
Like, you can't kill the best character in the whole series. Like, you can't do that. Like, you cannot kill him.
I'm in danger.
he is perfect. He's everything. You literally can't. Ooh, and then Feyre's just like sobbing, and I was sobbing at that point because I'm like, no. Mostly, I'll be honest, I was really just like in denial. I was like, no, this is not happening. No, he's not dead. There's no way that he's dead. And then for like 4 pages, you're just like, oh my gosh, he's freaking dead. He's freaking dead. Like, there's no way. And you're just like freaking out. Like, I'll be honest, I was literally losing my mind. I was losing my marbles, which, I mean, if you can't tell from this getup, obviously I've already lost them. I lost my mind.
Lost my mind. I've lost my mind.
Gave me the biggest heart attack of my life.
I'm having a heart attack.
And if you've read A Court of Wings and Ruin, you know that he's fine. That all of the High Lords get together and they give him some of their power and he comes back to life and we're like, whew, thank goodness Rhys is back. Okay, whew. But she gave us quite a scare.
And in that moment, it was the most tragic thing that had ever occurred in ACOTAR history. And now, I was saving, these are the last 2 most tragic moments in Sarah J Maas history.
I don't care what anybody says. These 2, kind of 3, but 2 moments are the most tragic.
Also the most tragic lines ever been said in literature history.
I guess you could say things are getting pretty serious.
First one I'm going to talk about, Empire of Storms. The climax, the finale of Empire of Storms. The line is when Rowan Whitethorn runs up to Lorcan and says,
Where is my wife?
utterly unacceptable!
Unacceptable!
Unacceptable! And then Lorcan just starts crying because he realizes what he's done.
And so if you haven't read the climax to Empire of Storms, you have to know that Aelin sacrificed herself to get taken away by Maeve, the queen of the Fae, actually Queen of the Flag if you've read the whole thing. Taken away by her, put in an iron coffin, chained up head to toe, and whipped almost to death in that moment. And this is the thing that we weren't expecting, is when Rowan comes up on that beach, he finally comes, Iliad's there, Lorcan's there, Fenris is gone, and they're all just like, what happened? And
Rowan comes up to Lorcan, enraged, screaming, where is Aelin? Where is my wife? Because they didn't tell us, but they had had a secret wedding the night before. They had gotten secretly married to each other so that Rowan could be consort of Teresian, and that Aelin would officially be the queen, and they would be queen and king together. And he approaches Lorcan and says, "Where is my wife?" And Lorcan realizes what he's done, and he realizes, oh no, I just sent Aelin off to her death in an iron coffin with the most crazy psychotic woman on planet Earth. I utterly sobbed during this whole portion. Just broken, utterly broken, because I was so horrified by the death or by the pain and suffering that Aelin had to go through, and for the fact that Rowan lost his wife in that moment, and he was just like so horrified, so upset. Where is my wife? And we were all like,
what? And we didn't know that they had gotten married, like, secretly, and it was all being kept as a surprise, and we just were like, what have they done?
And so I can't ever hear the words "where is my wife" without like wanting to freaking die and just wanting to cry my eyes out, because it literally is unacceptable. Unacceptable. And finally, one of the most tragic moments in Throne of Glass history. It is in Kingdom of Ash. It is the moment where Rowan and Lorcan and Iliad and Fenris and they rescue Aelin from the coffin. They rescue her. That's great. Like, they're rescuing her. She's running.
But she's still wearing these like chains and this you have to understand, she's wearing this like iron helmet, like that's basically like attached to her skin. Like the helmet is attached to her skin, and like the lore of this book is that iron is really bad for the Fae because it hurts them. It like drains their powers. But anyways, that's not the point. So she's wearing this like iron helmet that's like attached to her skin, and it's like almost like a muzzle, and it is so sad. So
she gets back to the clearing. They rescued her. Amazing. Rowan hasn't shown up yet. Rowan's figuring some things out. He's coming though, but like, you know, and so Iliad and Lorcan are in the clearing. They're trying to get the manacles and the helmet off of Aelin, and they can't figure it out because it's charmed. And so Aelin the whole time is just like trying not to panic, but then she starts to panic and she's like,
take it off, take it off, take it off, take it off.
And it's literally, and then it just turns into her like screaming, like screaming.
Take it off, take it off, take it off. And
it's like the most horrifying because Iliad and Lorcan are just like watching her. They're just like watching her and they're just like, oh my gosh. And she's screaming these hysterical sobs of take it off, and they can't get the helmet off. They can't get the manacles off. And she's just screaming hysterically. And then Rowan comes up to her and he's like, Aelin, 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 what's wrong? And she's like, take it off, take it off, take it off.
Oh, my life.
And she's just screaming, take it off. And this was the moment that we all thought that like Aelin was broken, that she had finally, Maeve had finally broken her, and that she was like never going to recover from this ever. It was the most tragic thing because you could feel the panic. You could feel the panic in her voice. You could feel the desperate crying pleas of Aelin being like begging them to take it off of her, and they couldn't get it off. Oh my gosh, I was literally sobbing at that moment because I felt for her, and I was like, they broke you and they did this to you, and it's not fair, and you like trying to just take it off, take off all of the pain, take off these manacles, take off everything that happened. Like, oh, utterly tragic, utterly tragic. It's one of the most wow moments I've ever had in a book, and it literally wowed me to the very end. Okay, everyone, well, that was my most tragic moments in Sarah J Maas history. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed my little getup. If you did, please feel free to like and comment, and do not forget to subscribe to the Live in Literature channel. I am so excited to keep making videos for you guys. Thank you for all your patience with these last couple of videos. I don't know what's been going on with my YouTube. I need to figure it out. But thank you guys so much for watching and supporting me. You guys are the best. Love you so much. Goodbye.